Hello, hello. Hey, friends. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are having a great start to your week. And I'm so excited that you're here with me for week number two of creating your 2026 from chaos into calm, or better yet put, from calm versus chaos. This next hour, we'll say together, is really going to be about giving you a great first step into calming your nervous system, getting you to a place where you feel really good and you have spaciousness to actually create, right? To think about what it is you want. And I want to start off by saying that, this next few weeks together isn't just if you want a new career. It's not just if you want to become a digital nomad like myself. It's not just if you want to, I don't know, just learn a new skill. It's this, the things I'm teaching you can be applied across the board. They can be applied to anything that you want to do in your life because really being able to jump into something with your full heart, your full soul, your full body with a hell yes requires that you come from a place where you understand yourself, that you understand what it is you actually want, right? And that it's pure. It's not tainted by the shoulds, the I need to, or, I have to. That's all from a dysregulated nervous system. That's what we call it. And the goal of the next few weeks is to help retrain your body, your mind, your spirit into what you get to do, right? What you want to do, what feels really good. And it's not about being woo woo, right? I like to say I am a practical spiritual person, right? Logical spiritual person. But it is about tapping back into that more feminine sense versus living in hustle culture where it's just all about achieve, 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 push, 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 no matter what. You can still achieve, you can still push, you can still go after all the things that you want from a much more nourished space, right? I'll tell you a quick story. When my mom and I started out as digital nomads slash professional house sitters, my my only goal that first year, my only goal, the only thing I had space for was I want to do something that nourishes me as much as I put into it, right? And for me, that meant I wanted to do something that felt good, that gave back to me, that if I put in all of me or as much as I could get back that and more, right? At the end of every prayer manifestation that we'll do together, we always finish with this or something better, right? You leave space for the universe to surprise you. You leave space for God to surprise you, to fill in the holes that you have overlooked or bring you things that you didn't even realize you really wanted and were going to be of value to you, right? As I mentioned in the first week, when you are moving from a place of burnout, exhaustion, fatigue, overwhelm, overwork, all you can think about is that next moment. All you can think about is what you think is going to make you feel better, right? Which is a great start. And you can't jump from that to these big ass hairy goals because it's not going to work. So you have to do baby steps. But that's the beauty of really diving in and working on your nervous system and getting yourself back to a place where you do feel calm, where you can breathe, where you can take 5, 10, 20 minutes for yourself and not feel guilty because you understand that that's just filling back up your cup so that you can go out into the world and do more. right? So you can go out into the world and give. So you can go out into the world and serve. That's really where this comes from. So, whatever your goals are for 2026, whatever you're reaching for, striving for, hoping to accomplish this year, places you want to go, things you want to do, whatever, you fill in the blank. These next few weeks are really going to help you start to imagine and visualize those things coming to you and from a much more nourished, centered place. Okay. All right. So before we jump in, I want to do a simple, quick nervous system regulation piece. And you can do this anywhere. If you're the kind of person where you're not quite sure you want other people to know what you're doing, you're nervous, maybe you're at a coffee shop right now or someplace in public or you're at work, right? Hiding what you're really doing from your boss. This is something that you can do and it doesn't have to be big. Okay. It's just a breathing technique. And if this is different for you, something you haven't done before, that's totally fine. There's no quiz at the end of this. And you can always come back to this recording and practice it again and again. So before we write a single intention for 2026, the first step is regulating. So I want you to put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. You can close your eyes if you like. I'm going to hold space for you. Okay. We're going to inhale for 4 counts and then hold for 4 and exhale for 4. And then we're going to repeat until we feel our shoulders drop, our breathing naturally slow down, and a sense of calm, a wave of calm come over. All right, so I'll do the count. You just relax into it. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want you just to naturally find your breath, find your rhythm. Now you're ready. All right. So I hope you brought your pen and paper because we will be taking some notes. And I will give you time to jot down some things. And at the end of today's gathering, I will be posting some journal prompts for you that I would love for you to take some time out this week to light a candle, light an incense, pour a glass of wine, cup of coffee, whatever you like, whatever time of day it is. But just give yourself some time. And I'm not going to give you a set amount of time because, again, this should feel good. I want you to feel like this is not just a treat for yourself, but it is something that you deserve. And if 5 minutes is all you can find this week, I want to honor you and congratulate you for finding 5 minutes in your week. And if you can do more, even better. All right. So the first 5 prompts to creating from calm really now they boil down to self honoring, quiet inquiry, self discovery. I call them whoppers, and creating mantras. So this week is all about creating from or honoring where you are. So right now, you might be in a space where you recognize you were burnt out, that you were exhausted. You might be in a space where you are coming out of that, right? You're almost on the other side. You're healing. You've been working the tools, you've been using the tools, and you're seeing improvement. So honor where you are and use these next 5 prompts to guide you, but there is never an intention to stress you out. Okay. So with self honoring, we're talking about what are you looking forward to, right? What are you forward to experiencing in 2026, right? Not just achieving, but experiencing. And that's a difference because let's just say, what would your younger self be most proud of you, be most proud of in your life right now? Do you have the job, the career you dreamt about as a kid? Have you traveled to all the places or most of the places that you always wanted to? Right? When you were little, you imagined going and visiting and immersing yourself in. Do you have the relationship you always dreamt of? Right? Honor where you are and be grateful for the things that have already shown up in your life. And I can't help but repeat this quote. You might hear it 10 more times, but be grateful where you are right now because 5 years ago, that person dreamt of being here, prayed to be here. And whatever space you're in right now, there is something you can be grateful for. There is something that you have achieved, received, or you're experiencing that you prayed for. And you get to honor and acknowledge that. Because if you can do it then, you can do it again. Okay. So remember that. So we spend so much time focused on where we're going that we actually forget to honor how far we've come. So the first prompt is going to be about honoring where you are, honoring what you've experienced, what you've accomplished, what you've done, and placing gratitude on those parts. Number 2, quiet inquiry. Now, what are you currently feeling? What are you sitting with? This is when you get to give yourself some time to just reflect what is coming up for you. I know a lot of times for many years, I did New Year resolutions and they're great. And then you get smart. You get smarter, you get wiser, and you realize that, these are great for like the first couple weeks, but what happened? I heard a crazy number, something like 75, might be even higher than that, 75% of people will have already fallen off or forgotten their New Year's resolutions by January 8th. It was some crazy statistic like that. That means basically a week into the new year, majority of people have already forgotten what they proclaimed, they put out there. They've moved on or they've given up. That tells me that a lot of times when we're creating these resolutions, when we're creating these goals, it's from a place of ego, right? Or it's from a place of those aren't our dreams. They're someone else's. And we're trying to fill those boots. We're trying to be the one to step in and do it. But if we really thought about it, if we really gave ourselves the space to think about what does that look like for me? What's going to be required of me to do that? What is the end goal, the outcome I'm hoping for? I think we'd realize that that is not for me. That's actually not something I want to invest my time and energy into because the things that you do, you do. There's no excuses. There's no exceptions. You can move full forward toward those goals, toward those ideas. It's when we're burnt out, exhausted, overwhelmed, that there's no space to do that. And that's the problem. Overcommitting ourselves, saying yes when we really should say no, working as a generator versus a non sacral being. If you're familiar with human design, that's going to be popping off some bells for you right there because many of us who are non sacral beings, and that includes projectors, reflectors, manifestors, live and operate full on in a society of generators or manifesting generators who have the ability, who have the energy to power through, to push. They actually thrive in that environment. And so if you are not a sacral being, it's important for you to find out what is going to work for you. Because we all have energy, we all have the capacity, but it's how we use it to our benefit. Okay. You've all heard the saying, you know, Beyonce, Oprah, enter big time celebrity. They all have 24 hours in a day and they still get stuff done. This is true. And they also have help because they know how to delegate. And yes, they have money and resources. But the bottom line is they've learned how to manage their energy to get the highest output. So take that time to really think about what feelings am I currently sitting with? What's going on? What doesn't feel good? What doesn't feel like it's really serving me? Because when you can start to audit the things in your life and you realize, nope, that's not, nope, that isn't either. Nope, that person isn't adding value to my life. This thing isn't adding value to my life. This task, this habit, this is where we call an energy hole, right? So imagine a bucket, it's filled to the top. But there's a hole at the bottom. So every time it gets full, water drips down. And maybe it's a small hole. So you don't even realize that you're losing water initially until you come back an hour, 2 hours later, half a day later. And you're like, where's all the water? Which is slowly dripping out. And that's like your energy when you give it away to things that really aren't serving you, that aren't nourishing you back. So honor where you are and then take inventory, right? Of what's filling your bucket and what's draining it. From there, we move to self discovery. Now, self discovery is about taking stock of also where you are right now, but what are those things that do fill you up? Where can you add more of that to your life, right? And it's also about going through your day and asking yourself, okay, where did I honor myself today? What went well today? What felt really scary and I did it anyway? And the outcome was, what am I grateful for right now? So much of this practice goes back to gratitude. You're going to find that gratitude and forgiveness are two of the biggest things that if you can make those two things a daily habit in your life, you will see dramatic shifts. If you did nothing else, if you reflected and even but vocalized, right? Turned on your throat chakra and said the things that you're grateful for, no matter how small. And if you also forgave, forgave yourself, forgave others, all of these things open up more space and they put you on a path of recognizing what is good for you and what is not. So These three things, and again, honoring where you are, the quiet inquiry, and then self discovery. These are the building blocks. So, ideally, once you have compiled your list, every week we're going to go back, or I would like for you to go back through that list and see how it shifts, see what changes. Because you're going to notice as you build up this muscle, right? And the muscle is already there. Maybe it's just been not used for a while. It's been beaten down, but you're strengthening this muscle to take care of you, to put yourself first, to recognize what is self-full versus selfish. And on that same token, oftentimes what we consider selfish is our ego talking, right? It's not us. It's what the stories we've told ourselves, the stories we believe, the what the media portrays in our culture has helped us to form a belief around what is good and what is bad, right? Where we should be putting our time versus where we shouldn't. And so you're going to be reframing all of that. Creating a 2026 from calm versus chaos starts with recognizing what is calming in your life and what is noise. The noise is the chaos. And we may not be able to completely shut that out, but we can learn to filter, we can learn to discern, and we can learn to limit what we actually intake. So if you're just joining the live, I wanted to say thank you again for joining me. If you're watching the replay, thank you. I'm so excited that you took some time out of your day, your week to spend this time on yourself, to put yourself first, and to know that the more regulated you are, the more regulated your life is, right? That automatically brings in the boundaries that you want, that you desire, that you need. It brings in the manifestations that you want, that you desire, that you see yourself living and experiencing, all of these things. So I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for joining me. All right, so number 4. Oh, thank you for the hearts. Thank you. All right, so number 4, I call these the whoppers. Now, this is where we talk about what is the feeling I want from my life? Okay, not the thing, but the feeling. What are the things in my life that already exist that give me that feeling? And what do I do better than anyone? Okay. I know it's a lot to push on you at one time. I'll go back through these, don't worry. But the first thing is, what is the feeling I want from my life? And again, it's not about being woo woo. If that doesn't feel good to you, I want you to know that talking about our feelings, putting our feelings first, having that be our North Star is actually more important than the things because your body knows, your intuition knows, you know what feels good and what doesn't. Corey wrote, Maya Angelou says that at the end, people don't remember anything about you except how you made them feel. I love that quote. And yes, 100%. 100%. When we think about marketing, right? Marketing is 100% based on getting you to feel something. They want you to have an emotional release to that thing because they know that if they can tap into your emotion, tap into you feeling something, you are that much more likely to go out and buy it or do it or go to it, right? If they can help you spark a memory that feels good, you're more likely to say, I want that thing because when I felt that way last time, I felt amazing. It was good. I'm going to go buy 10 more of it. Feelings are so important. And yet we don't put enough energy into how's it going to make me feel when we're making those decisions. And, to go back to human design, that is a huge part of it as well, acknowledging that some of us operate purely on that gut feeling, that gut instinct. And that's okay. Our brain, our mind makes up stories, right? This is only here to keep us safe and to solve other people's problems. Let's just take a side note here for a moment. This is really funny, actually. When you think about how easy it is to solve your best friend's problems, your partner's problems, right? At work, your boss's problems. But then when you sit and think about yourself, you get into a tailspin, right? We often can't even see our own problems, our own issues, and they're right in front of us. That is because our brain, our minds are meant to help solve other people's problems, other things outside of us, not our own. That is why we have our intuition. That's why we have our gut. That's why we have our instinct. You placed a name on it, the top, the label, the top, the title, but that is why that is here. That is how it serves us. So, what things in your life already exist that give you that feeling, right? So, when I think about creating my 2026 from calm, the feelings that pop up are a feeling of spaciousness, a feeling of freedom, a feeling of joy, a feeling of curiosity, excitement, a feeling of love. I also believe that this also correlates to our values, right? So think about, what do you value? If that helps you, what do you value more than anything? And if you're not quite sure off the top of your head what those things are, think about in your relationships and other people. What do you value? Integrity, honesty, loyalty. Those things all have a feeling, right? A feeling of safety is what comes to mind. So when you think about, how do you want this year to feel, right? What is calm for you? Calm for me is feeling safe, feeling free, feeling joy. And there's a list of other ones too. But those are my top three. So if I can generate those three positive feelings on a regular basis, I know that I will finish 2026 with a feeling of accomplishment, right? Of achievement. I brought those things into my life. So just think about that. Just sit with that. Is there a life that you can build from that? Absolutely. You can absolutely be wanting to strive for that promotion this year, to have the recognition actually happen for you this year, right? To write that book, to climb that mountain. It doesn't matter how hard it is or how easy it is. But if you think about, how do you want to feel in the process? Or what is the feeling that you want at the end of fill in the blank? That is actually the destination. That is the goal. It seems like it's the medal that you would receive, but it's actually that feeling that you think the medal is going to give you when you receive it. So later on, when we get into manifestation, there's a few key points that are often missed. And trust me, my mom and I were talking about this over the weekend. We have been, you know, indulging ourselves, deep diving into this world for almost 20 years, we realize, which is insane, right? 20 plus years for her. And it's taken us this long to realize certain concepts that part of manifesting is there is still work you get to do for it to show up. And there's also the receiving part of it. We manifest things all day long. We don't even realize it. But then something big happens. And then we wonder why we're back at zero, right? And that could be the job, the increase in salary, a bonus, a lottery win, you name it. There are times where we get an influx that raises our energy, it raises our status drastically. And then something comes in and cuts the legs off, and we're back down. And maybe we're not all the way back down to zero, we're cut down halfway. That is because we haven't learned a key part to that, which is receiving. Being able to receive it openly, open hearted, and hold it. Hold it in our hands. The other side of not holding is letting go, pushing it away, giving it away. I know, I'm pretty sure we've all heard the examples of people who win the lottery. And, they win a lot of money at one time. And yes, some of it comes from, or some people lose that because they don't have the financial understanding of what to do next. Yes. But how often have you heard those stories where people win the lottery and they give it all away? And I'm not talking about those people who give it away in a charitable sense, but they find reasons to literally get rid of it, buying things that do not hold value, giving money away to people who honestly don't hold value as well, who are just taking, but not giving anything back. And then it gets chipped away, chipped away to now they're broke again, or now they're back with the same bank account balance that they were when they started. I've been there. I personally know that story. You get an influx of money in, all of a sudden I've got more money than I had yesterday, than I've had maybe ever. And within a very short time, I'm back to where I started from. And this is happening because you have no recollection. You can't pinpoint exactly what was the thing or the things because you were unconscious. You were just finding ways to get rid of it because it didn't feel comfortable. Our comfort zone is very tricky. There is nothing truly comfortable about our comfort zone. We're made to believe that. We say that. It shouldn't even be called a comfort zone. It's more of a box that we put ourselves in. And in that box, there are certain things that we're used to. And it's easier, it's safer for our mind to keep us in a box that we're used to versus giving us experiences that take us outside of it and stretch us with the potential of being hurt, with the potential of it not feeling good, but with also the potential of growth. Right. So, number 4 goes back to what are those whoppers in your life where you're like, oh, I forgot about that. I didn't realize that. That feels good, right? I want more of that in my life. And yes, I can build a life around those feelings. Number 5 is creating mantras. So I love a good mantra. I'm a big fan of affirmations. I'm a big fan of subliminals where you sit and you listen and there's affirmations, mantras being piped in to you. And all you got to do is just sit and absorb. I love meditations where they're guided, they're self guided, and you're repeating a mantra over and over and over. I love Kundalini yoga, where there are certain, um, I forgot what they're called actually. Kosha, they're called koshas. Doesn't sound right. I'll figure it out. But in Kundalini yoga, there are mantra type things that are sayings that you repeat as well. And they stir up energy. They cause you to focus. They cause you to shift in your thinking. And what's beautiful about them is they can be very simple. And it's the simple things that over time compound. I have an article out called 1%. I highly recommend it. I read the book Atomic Habits and it changed the way I think about habits and routines and pushing myself. High achiever here, type A. No one's going to push me harder than I push myself. But, and recognizing that 1% compounded over time works just as well. And I get to acknowledge that and know that not everything needs to be at 100 every single time. That's called giving yourself grace. So, creating a mantra, this is the fun part this week that I invite you to step into. I want you to pull one of the many stories, one of the many lines on repeat that you have going in your head. I need to lose 10 pounds. I need to lose 50 pounds. I need to make more money. I should be working right now instead of like, you know the line. Have it on repeat in your mind. I want you to take one of those and reframe it from fear to permission. Because that's all it is. If you think about a phrase that starts with I should, I need, or uh, I have to, those three things are wrapped in fear. You're saying those things out of fear of what's going to happen if you don't. And fear is a very low energetic vibration. And we are moving away from that. We're also going to be moving into giving yourself permission. Because sometimes in the beginning, that's what you need. That is actually what you're craving. You're craving for someone else to give you permission, but in actuality, the most important person you need to hear it from is yourself. I can give you permission all day long. I give you permission to take out 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour of your day and work on yourself. Have fun with it, right? Don't even say work on myself because work has a negative connotation. To give to yourself, to reframe how you might currently be doing things into a way that feels better. Again, that is nourishing. So let's just say, I'm afraid I'll never have enough money. I need to make more money. The permission version of that is, I am allowed to receive abundance with ease. Take a deep breath. I'm going to say it again, and I want you to repeat it to yourself. I am allowed to receive abundance with ease. Now, I don't know about you, but that feels really good. That feels way better. The thing about mantras or affirmations is that you don't have to believe it right now. They're sneaky like that. They really are. Whether you believe it right now, you trust it right now, the more you say it, you're actually retraining your mind to believe it. You're retraining your nervous system that this is okay. This is safe. Because remember, on the fear side, that is the ego, right? That's the stories, the beliefs. That is your mind keeping you safe, right? Being safe is the hustle. Being safe is constantly in action, constantly doing. On the other side of that is being firm in knowing what you can receive and what you deserve and that it's coming. And if you can believe that, if you can trust that, the creative ideas, the creative solutions needed are going to come. One of my first mantras, one of my first mantras when we were thinking about the whole digital nomad lifestyle was the creative ideas are coming. The creative ideas are coming. I would just say that on repeat all day long. Initially, I had Post-it notes up in my office, in my car. So I would get into my car, I'd see the Post-it note, I would say it. Creative ideas are coming. Start the car. Creative ideas are coming. And it may sound really silly, but it got me to realize, without even thinking about it at some point, creative ideas are coming. And they were. There were so many moments where I'm like, I don't know where that idea came from, but that's actually really good. I hadn't thought of that. But because I was telling myself this on repeat, my mind, my body, my soul, my spirit had no choice but to believe it, to start to believe it, to trust it, and to make space for it. The words you say to yourself are so freaking powerful. They hold so much power, so much weight, so much energy. This is the same reason why, if you are telling yourself the opposite, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm insecure, I'm not the right person, I have no creative thoughts, I have no energy, I'm not built for this, you will believe it. It will be true. If you haven't heard of this experiment where a team of researchers have plants, or actually, that's the one that's even simpler, water. They have a couple of different jars. They believe it's 3 jars of water. And one, they are saying negative words to, negative phrases, sentences, just being very, very mean to this water. The one in the middle is the constant, and nothing is going on with it besides it just sitting. And the third glass of water, they whisper sweet nothings into it to the jar, to the glass, right? They're telling it how much they love it and how wonderful it is and how beautiful, just saying all good things, nice things. This glass of water. Well, it turned out that when they came back after some time and actually looked at the water molecules under a microscope, the one that was constant was normal. It was a water molecule. The one that they said wonderful things to, that they loved on, that they just honored and cherished and took care of. The water molecules were like diamonds. They were sparkling. They were beautiful. All the things that they were telling it that it was. And then the first glass that they just were horrible to, cursed at and said mean things to and things that weren't true and just were awful to. The molecules were these awful, ugly shapes. They didn't even look like water molecules. They had, been formed into something that wasn't recognizable. And I want you to think about that for yourself. How does it make you feel when you speak poorly about yourself? to yourself. When you say things to yourself that you would never say to a friend or even your worst enemy, perhaps. Sometimes we can be that cruel to ourselves that we wouldn't even say it to someone we didn't like. So I want you to take some time and just pull out one of those sentences for now. If you want to do more, that's great. But honoring where you are, take one of those phrases and flip it on its head. I'll give you a couple more examples too. I'm afraid to start over. I'm too old to start over. How about I am allowed to begin again at any age? I'm afraid to rest. I'm afraid that if I rest, I'm going to be perceived as lazy. How about I'm allowed to rest without having to earn it? Rest is not a reward. Rest is not a luxury. Rest is a right. Rest is a necessity. Rest is something that you get to give yourself no matter what, because without it, how do you get up and serve? How do you put your best work out there? How do you be there for your family, for the people that do need you, that you do want to be there for? If you're coming from an exhausted, tired, worn out, burnout place. So, to bring this home, to wrap this session up, it's going really fast for one thing. This is much faster than I realized. So, to bring this message home, now that we regulated, right, with the 4 breaths, you've had time to reflect. You probably are still reflecting on some things we've talked about in this live. You get to release. You get to release. And I want to finish this call off with my favorite way of releasing anything that doesn't belong to me, anything I have picked up along the way. Right? So you can do this now. You can join in with me, or you can do this later on. I typically do this at the end of my day. I also do this at the end of meetings, any sort of one-on-one call. Anytime I've had some pretty intimate interactions with people, right? I just exhale, inhale, push all the air out of my lungs a few times, shake my hands. And I say, I release any and all energy that I have picked up that does not belong to me. I release it and send it back to its owner. I release it back to where it belongs. I clear my energy field. I clear my space. I fill my space with white light, pure white light, with pink hues and golden ribbon. I protect my space. I protect my energetic zone, my aura. I protect my energy. I call back in my energy. I call back in my energy, cleansed and recalibrated for me. I call back in my energy, cleansed and recalibrated for me, and I wrap it in the white light with golden threads. It's protected. It is cleansed. It is calm. I am protected. I am cleansed. I am calm. And I just finished with a few more breaths. That's a really good way to end today's call, to end with a calm, rejuvenated nervous system. I really hope you find time for yourself this week to sit and go back through these prompts, to review what you've written, even if it was like, chicken scratch today. Go back, see what came up for you, see where you get to go with this. So next week, I'll be back Monday, 11/11, and we're going to be talking about who you're becoming. So these are all baby steps. So the next step after honoring where you are right now, how you're showing up right now, is who you get to become, who you already are becoming. And I would not be surprised if after next week's call, you guys email me or you message me and you start talking about you've time jumped, because that is very possible. When you start this whole process, you will be amazed, awed, just blown away by how quickly things start to shift. It doesn't take a whole lot. In fact, that is the whole point. Moving from the doing, the action, to being, to integrating, to allowing the transmission to come through. So next week, we're talking about who you're becoming without the hustle, without the pressure, just you. And I can't wait to see you. I would love any feedback. I would love to hear comments. I would love to hear how this landed for you. At the end of the week, how this supported you, how it showed up for you. That's always fun too. These things have a way of showing up in the least expected way. You're like, I remember that. Brandi mentioned that on that call. And look, it showed up. So share it with me. I read all your messages. I respond personally. And I'm just really happy that you're here. And I thank you for your time and your energy. Have an amazing rest of your week. Go out there creating from calm versus chaos.